Good morning, traders. I am Emily Bonney, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Wednesday, May 22nd. We are coming off another record-breaking but muted session on Wall Street yesterday as investors look to earnings from NVDA today. Yesterday, all three major indices closed in the green, even if slightly. The S&P 500 touched a fresh record, adding 13 points or 0.25% to end at 5,321 points. The Nasdaq also ended in record territory, gaining 37 points or just less than 0.25% to hit 16,832 points. The Dow advanced 66 points or 0.17%. But let's get into Wednesday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are actually trading lower. We're down 0.15%. There's kind of a negative tone across the markets this morning. But we got a lot of catalysts on tap. You got the Fed meeting minutes today, this afternoon. They could come across with a hawkish tone. Of course, this morning we're reacting to some earnings reports that came out this morning and late last night. And you have NVDA and Snowflake after the bell today. Would be expecting some, additional announcements coming out today from Microsoft on that Build conference. Lululemon, big management change going on over there. It's causing some big weakness in the stock this morning. They tried to, downplay it, but there's some issues going on at Lululemon. But, we're taking a look at all the markets. We're watching the European markets. We're looking at the DAX. It's down 0.3%. The big thing about the DAX is, that there's the EU car sales rose 13.7% in April, which is positive. But there's rumors that there's going to be some Chinese tariffs on autos, and that's what's causing some weakness in the auto stocks in Europe this morning. Then you get the FTSE. FTSE's lower by almost 0.5%. They're down 0.48%. The issue going on in London is the inflation data. It came in just a fraction higher than what it was expected. I mean, it came in at 2.3%, and I think they were looking for the forecast for 2.1. So it came in fractionally higher, but still low. But there's some feeling that the inflation may still be lingering there. Then you're looking at the CAC, and the CAC is down 0.65%. Luxury stocks are getting hit in Europe as well because of the Chinese tariffs, which supposedly are going to be on automobiles, but they always seem to hit luxury goods as well. So that's why you're seeing a lot of weakness. And energy stocks in Europe are also weak. We're looking at Asia last night. Asia, listen, the Nikkei dropped 0.85% or 329 points. We saw some weakness in pharma and tech stocks. They were in the red. We're looking at the Hong Kong. The Hong Kong was up in the morning, but finished the session lower, down 0.13%. The tariffs on Western automobiles, it kind of shows that there's still tensions between Europe and U.S. and Asia, and that's not good. So, they gave up some of the early morning gains. And then you look at China. China closed fractionally higher, up 0.02%. They saw some gains in property stocks. Autos and tech were positive at the Shanghai exchange, so that's kind of nice to see. But we're keeping an eye on oil because, last night oil moved. Oil's been down for, a couple of days in a row, and today it looks like it's going to be lower again. Oil is down more than 1%. You get WTI at $77.81 a barrel, down 1.08%. Then you got Brent. Brent crude is at $81.98. That's down to 1.10%, 1.10% or 91 cents. The reason why, American Petroleum Institute, this is, they gave out their stockpile estimates for last week, and they show that stockpiles rose by 2.48 million barrels last week. That's a big rise. These are estimates, though. We'll get the official later today, but that indication of a rise in stockpiles is causing oil prices to push lower for 3 days in a row, and you're seeing oil, really under $78 a barrel for WTI. So that's a little bit worrisome. But we do have that OPEC meeting coming up June 1, and we'll have to see what they say when they release the results from their OPEC meeting then. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
Bill, sifting through a lot of information there, and throughout today's show, we're going to get to some of the details on the day, including earnings action, economic events, a number of reports today, and the day's other market moving headlines. So let's start here with earnings action, some interesting reports. So Bill, give us a rundown of what we should be watching and what we have to look ahead to.
Well, last night we heard from Urban Outfitters, ticker URBN. They did come off with a good report, I will say. Urban Outfitters beat by 17 cents on higher revenue. You look at the stock this morning, it's up a little over 3%, so that's good. You got Target, Target, TGT, Tom Grace Tom. They missed by 2 cents on lower revenue. Stock's getting hammered. It's down 7.69%, 7.75% now. Just they got a tough they got a tough situation there at Target. Analog Devices, ticker ADI, Apple David India, they beat by 14 cents on higher revenue. You look at ADI this morning, it's up 6.17%. Then you get TGX companies. This is TJ Maxx, Tom John X-Ray. They beat by 17 cents on higher revenue. Stocks up 1.59% this morning. Then you got ticker VIP, Vips Shop. They did deliver. They beat by 26 cents. They did it on higher revenue, which is always good to see. Let's see what the stock's doing this morning. Yeah, it's down 1.34%. You got the miss on revenue is really the issue there. But upcoming, let's talk about it. NVIDIA is the key one. I mean, NVDA, Nancy Victor David Apple, their EPS is $5.52. And the expected move is 8.24% when they release. Listen, call volume looks good. The open interest looks good. Everybody loves the stock. But there is some concerns out there about, the forward demand. I mean, you saw that Amazon's kind of lowering how many chips they're going to be buying from them, and really going to be going with, another firm. So, there is some sense of concern there for NVIDIA when they release this afternoon. And Snowflake, ticker SNOW, Sam Nancy Oscar William, they're a big tech firm. They're releasing their EPS is 16 cents. Their expected move is 10.18%. But I got to be cautious here. You know why? Because just recently it was said, that Snowflake may be announcing that, is looking to buy out Rika AI for like a $1 billion price tag. And that was like 3 days ago. That announcement could hit when they announce their earnings today. So that Snowflake announcement is could be a tale of two tapes. You're looking at the call volumes, they're positive. You're looking at the open interest, they're positive. But I'm really concerned that buyout news could hit at the same time they release earnings. So we'll have to wait and see. And Synopsys, ticker SNPS, Sam, Nancy, Paul, Sam, their EPS is $3.01. The expected move is 8.23%. Put volume was elevated yesterday, and on the open interest, I'm seeing elevated put volume. So I'm not a big fan of SNPS. ELF Beauty, ticker ELF, Edward, Larry, Frank, their EPS is 34 cents. The expected move here is 12.90%. Open interest, on the put side, a little heavy, a little concerning, not meeting my model. So I crossed it off the list this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of an earnings roundup today, Emily.
Bill, plenty to be watching there. And as that information hits the tape, you'll be able to see it using that NewsWare alert you have set up for earnings. The other thing you see right as it comes out are economic events and reports, things like Fed speak and other economic data. And we have the Fed meeting minutes on tap today. So as soon as those come out, you're going to be seeing them because of your alerts. So Bill, give us the full rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to economic events today.
At 10 a.m. Eastern time, we get the existing home sales. Also at 10 a.m., we get the Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations. Then at 10:30, we get that key report. This is the EIA's oil stockpiles report that we got to be watching. Then at 2 p.m., that's when the big one hits. That's when the Fed meeting minutes are announced. Now, remember, the meeting minutes are likely to be hawkish in nature. The Fed was dealing with different data prior to last month or earlier this month's Fed meeting, the one on May 1st. They were dealing with 3 months of rising inflation data, so expect this report to be rather hawkish. You know, and I think they're turning a little bit more dovish in the last few days, and they are coming out there saying, "Listen, we're still expect to do elevated rates for the near future," but there is a good possibility for a rate cut in September, which means they're expecting 3 months of inflation data to drop, and that would be positive for the markets. If we're really entered into 3 months, if we're really starting off a period where we're going to see lower inflation, and we saw it in April. If we could see it in May and June, that would pretty much be a good thing for a rate cut in September. But we'll have to wait and see. But keep an eye on those meeting minutes. I do think they're going to be hawkish in nature when they come out. 9:40 a.m. I got to say that we're going to be hearing from Chicago Fed Bank President Austin Goolsbee. He's kind of dovish, so that could be positive for the markets when he talks early this morning. But that's what I have for you about the economic news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
Again, Bill, watching all of that using your newsware, it's plenty to keep track of, as I mentioned. And there's still more information you're keeping track of this morning. Things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings. You're looking at your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks, your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just looking at my Dow stocks. I'm showing 17 lower, 8 higher, the rest unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. We're seeing some gains in Meta, which is good. Because I expected Meta to turn around today, but the everything else is trading a little lower. So we got to be a little bit cautious going into today. What's Apple doing? I didn't check Apple. It's not on this list. Yeah, Apple is lower. You're looking at some of the news behind it, like Apple's challenging that $1.9 billion antitrust fine imposed by the EU. This is regard, the music streaming business and Spotify. They're challenging that $1.9 billion fine. News out there that, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and IBM and 10 other companies are really committed to developing a safe AI development. This is coming out of an AI conference that's going on in Seoul, South Korea, summit this year or earlier this morning. We're talking Tesla. Tesla sold over 11,254 cars last month, which is up 3% year over year. You look at a Tesla, it is trading lower. It's down about 2%, because at the end of the day, those Chinese tariffs, if that's true, that's going to be tough for Tesla. It's going to cause them to sell less cars in China in the near future. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we're going to start off with Disney, ticker DIS. Disney's Pixar unit's going to lay off around 14% of the staff. We're talking Microsoft, ticker MSFT. I see that their vice chairman and president, Brad Smith, he's got to testify in front of the House Homeland Security Committee on June 13th, and he's got to talk about the company's cybersecurity practices. That's going to be a tough one. But it would probably be good for, CrowdStrike and some of these other, Datadog, some of those cybersecurity stocks heading into the speech. We're talking merger news. Paramount Global. I just want to point out, Sony is having a corporate strategy meeting tomorrow, and the Apollo Sony bid could be getting, is likely going to be discussed. So we want to keep an eye on shares of Paramount Global, ticker PARA. Same thing with the U.S. Steel, ticker S. Cleveland Cliffs CEO was out there yesterday, and he's saying, hey, this U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel merger is doomed. It has no path to closure. They don't have union support, but the union does support a deal with Cleveland Cliffs. So, I wouldn't be surprised, and it's a much lower offer. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see weakness set in U.S. Steel, which could be some strength in Nippon Steel, but I could see some weakness in U.S. Steel. Biogen, ticker BIIB, boy, India, boy, they're acquiring human immunology biosciences for a $1.15 billion upfront payment plus some milestone payments. Stocks, it hasn't really opened. Biogen hasn't really opened yet today, so we'll wait for it. In terms of guidance, we're talking ADI, Apple, David, India, analog devices. They see Q3 adjusted EPS coming in at $1.50, but that's plus or minus 10 cents. Now you look at the street estimates, that's at $1.35. So, Yeah, that's an uptick. Then you get Target, ticker TGT. They back their full year 2024 adjusted EPS of $8.60 to $9.60. Street estimates $9.43. Okay, those estimates might be a little high. And VipShop, ticker VIPS, they see Q2 revenue flat to down 5%. Street estimates at 4.13 billion. Shareholder events going on. Schwab's having an institutional Investors Day today, starts at 9:30. Xerox is having a shareholders meeting later today. That's one to keep an eye on. That's really what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going with Ramp Holdings, ticker RAMP, Richard Apple, Mary Paul. Earnings right after the bell. EPS is 23 cents. Expected move is 13.39%. It's like $4. Yesterday's call volume, 708 calls versus 22 puts. It's pretty light. Then you look at the open interest, 3,138 calls versus 1,918 puts. Positive, it's clearly positive by 30%, so that's good. It's not really covered by the major brokers, though, and that's what kind of bothers me. But the brokers that do follow these tier 2 brokers, they do like the stock. And last quarter, they did come through with a beat and raise. They really raised guidance last quarter, and they did beat. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with, I don't want to do the other ones. They're just too volatile. You can't really tell what's going to happen when those release because, they got to beat their price to perfection. So I think Live Ramp is a little better. I'm looking for an entry point, under 32 if I can. I think it's possible. I mean, I'm looking at the bid right now, and the bid is 32.01. It may not happen, but if I can't, if it opens up at 32.50, then I'll say 32.40 ish. So, but I'm hoping to get in under 32. But 32. 40-ish is, it's very possible a good entry price too. I'm not expecting a big move in the post market either. And the reason why is because all the attention is going to be on Snowflake and NVIDIA. So this one, you really got to try and, lock in that gain today if we see it. And, that's the plan for today. Ramp, which is ticker RAMP, Richard Apple, Michael Paul, Live Ramp this morning, Emily.
We will follow Ramp along with you today. And coming up, we're going to do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Ticker AAL, Apple, Larry, that's Allstate, and Donut Media announced a new partnership. I don't know. Novo Nordisk, ticker NVO, faces another fire outbreak in a week. Shares are trading lower. Amazon, ticker AMZN, plans an AI-driven overhaul of the Alexa voice assistant. Interesting. Jazz Pharmaceuticals, ticker JAZZ, they announced a strategic collaboration with Life Sciences. Okay, Life Sciences cares. Yeah, Microsoft is spreading its AI bets to PCs. Yeah, that's true. They are. UNFI, Uncle Nancy Frank India, that's United Foods. They announced that their partnership with Whole Foods was extended to May of 2032. Oh, wow, that's a long. Citibank, UK regulators fined Citibank 61 million pounds for regulation issues over trading failures, as they call it, and its trading operations. Microsoft ties up with UAE's based AI firm to invest $1 billion, in a Kenya data center. Amazon Web Services to invest 15.7 billion euros in data centers in Spain. TJX continues to expect to repurchase $2 billion to $2.5 billion worth of stock ending February 1st, 2025. Okay, that's good. That sets a timeline on it at least. Williams Sonoma reported a nice beat of four. Our EPS came in at $4.07 against estimates of $2.70. Revenue met expectations. So that's what I have for you this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was JP Morgan. Now, during their shareholders meeting, the stock had dipped after comments from CEO Jamin Dimon that he was going to retire in 5 years. Investors didn't love that. Bill, you thought it was a little overdone yesterday when you made this pick. Thought you could take advantage of some weakness and then get a gain from there. So, how did your call work out?
Worked out well. JP Morgan worked out well. Stock opened up at 197, fell to 196.60, then ran hot, moving all the way up to 199.90. There's your 1%. Then it closed on the day at 199.52. So yeah, you got to appreciate that. I mean, it was listen, the market goes too far in either direction. Either too pessimistic and it drops 10% too much, or it goes too optimistic and it's up 10%. Yeah, you look at that trading yesterday, off of that news announcement that Jamie Dimon's going to retire. Well, how many years do you think the guy's going to work? Um, yeah, it's coming. We don't know when. They got a couple good candidates in mind. But one day he will retire. But he's a Titan CEO, so it does create nervousness when someone like that retires. But it was just overblown in yesterday and the day before's action, which meant there was a good opportunity for a bounce back yesterday, which is exactly what we thought would happen, and it's exactly what did happen. So JP Morgan, ticker JPM, was a winner yesterday, Emily.
Bill, and you called it right here on Trade Talk, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's live ramp holdings pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.